Welcome everyone. So today we're just going to focus on adding users to your organization. Before I just kind of dig into the UI, I just want to give you a little bit of a backstory, only because we've kind of changed the way we've done things, especially with users. So in the past, anytime someone would put a support ticket in or email us and be like, "Hey, Michelle needs access to this organization," we didn't really ask any questions. We'd be like, "Okay, here you go. Here's your password. Now you have access to it." But obviously times have changed, right? Security is definitely becoming a bigger conversation. And so now we don't do that. We don't create users. Anytime someone emails us and says "Hey, John Smith needs access to this facility within your organization," what we do is we'll basically send an email letting them know that they need to talk to you or your team member. Whoever is the owner of this, and again, it's not always one person, sometimes there's multiple people, by the way. We'll make sure that whoever this person needs access to, that you guys are creating the account for them. Every single user you add to your organization, you should be fully aware of it. It shouldn't be any surprise being like, "Oh, who's John Smith?" So we've really kind of changed our sort of the way we manage our users. A couple other things too, by the way. So user management is done in the admin panel. So that just means that none of your basic users can create them. They all have to go to you. And what you're seeing here, by the way, is this is really kind of my test account, but really I have 2 users that are part of my organization. We have this sort of tag here. The fancy terminology, by the way, is called chip. So if you want to drop, the word chip and sound really cool, go ahead. Otherwise, you can use tag. But the goal here is that anyone who has access to an organization, now keep in mind, right? So you can give someone access to the organization, but you can still take away all the applications on the left side. So, maybe you only want me to manage players. Again, you can give me access to your panel, but when I log in, I'd only see the player application. But the goal here, you guys, is that now I have 2 users, so this probably doesn't really visually benefit me. But imagine if I had 400 users or 500 users. It'd be really nice to have obviously that long, lengthy list, but to be able to just quickly parse okay, who has access, to the admin panel, or who are my owners? And so again, this tag or chip, again, maybe we should say chip, it will only show up if that person has access to an organization. So it's pretty clear here of what we're showing you, right? We have the email, we have how many facilities Michelle has access to, when she's logged in, and then of course the button right here that says add user. So as you add a user, right, you put in the information, first name, last name, email. If you had an SSO policy, by the way, that's where this would be inherited. And then you simply just choose your facilities. So this is really just kind of test data, by the way, just to kind of give you an idea. But here, what's nice is I'm adding a user. So I'll just use myself as an example. I'm adding Michelle. And what's great is I can actually do a bulk way, meaning that I can give Michelle access to multiple facilities in basically one workflow. If you're a new client, by the way, and you're just starting to build your organization and facilities, I would encourage you to iron out the number of facilities you need before you add your users, only because it's more efficient. And so again, it's not hard to go back and add this user to, your added on facilities, but just in your initial setup, if you can narrow down exactly what locations you need, when you start to create your users, I just think it'd be easier again, or quicker to quickly add them at once. What's nice too, you guys, is that when you click on the organization, it's just going to show you the roles that are in that sort of facility or, again, organization, and then it gives you a description. So, of course, we offer default roles. You can obviously ignore them, you can modify them, and you can create your own. We'll talk about the roles and permissions in this other tutorial, but when you do create a role, it does ask for the name and then a description. The whole point of the description, again, is to kind of help guide you being okay, what am I giving this person access to? So that's kind of nice as well. And then of course you can remove anything. And then once you kind of get this information done, you just hit add user. Now, the only other last thing I'll say about the add user is every single user that you add to your organization gets an onboarding email. It's a very simple onboarding email. It just says, "Hey, Michelle, John Smith has added you to his organization. please click here to activate your account. Once I hit the button that says activate account, the very first thing that we make basically your user do is create their password. Once they create their password, then they opt in. Now, we do have a built-in mechanism called Intercom. Now, Intercom is going to help sort of train your basic users. So every organization is a little bit different here. Some people, they create their own tutorials and their videos, and they train every user. And that's fine, by the way, if you want to do that. The nice thing, well, hopefully the nice thing with Intercom is that it will just like sort of streamline that, where maybe instead of doing training for 30 minutes, you can spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes on just doing like a more of a Q&A. So Intercom will actually walk your user on how to use the application, essentially. So that's it for our user management, by the way. If there's any questions or anything that was like unclear or I missed, definitely reach out to us. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.